Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, my name is Romanos. I am a historian and we are continuing our journey in this beautiful story about Byzantium. If you like this story, feel free to hit the like button, comment and subscribe to this new channel to be notified when a new video is uploaded. A new video will be uploaded every Wednesday. In the previous episode, we saw the first part of the war against Venice for the liberation of the Greek islands. It was Empress Theodora that started this war, but now it was on the hands of young Emperor Adrianos to finish it. Adrianos did not meet his father, as he was too young when Constantinos died. Theodora was an overprotecting mother trying to fill the gap of a missing father. So it was only natural that Adrianos would become an individual with relatively low self-esteem. Whenever he made a mistake, his mother was there to correct it and to support him. And now he had to take the place not only of his mother, but also one of the best rulers in the Byzantine history. So Adrianos decided to follow the safe road. He decided to adopt his mother's goals, strategies, policies and behavior. He had frequent conversations with his mother about everything. And although he was the emperor, it is not an exaggeration to say that the reign of Theodora continued as if Theodora was still the empress. Nevertheless, due to this special relation with his mother, Adrianos is a seriously underrated emperor by his biographers. Adrianos had many qualities that remained hidden to the frivolous researcher. Adrianos was extremely well educated, he was just, he was compassionate, and he had many administrative skills that helped him reorganize the Byzantine government. In a period of rapid expansion, any emperor could easily lose the control of his empire. But Adrianos kept the administrative control of the Byzantine Empire firmly in his hands and left to his successors an excellent administrative machine. Finally, when he grew older, he was the one to launch the first Byzantine crusade against the Ottomans for the conquest of Minor Asia. It was the first time after the period of the Crusades that a Christian king conquered so much land that was considered for centuries Muslim territory. But his long wars, the mediocre territorial expansion compared to that of his mother's, and the idea that whatever Adrianos did was the result of his mother's moves in the backstage, resulted to the conclusion that Adrianos was not a very competent ruler. And so, he is one of the most underrated Roman emperors of the new era. The new heir to the throne was Adrianos' daughter Irene. Irene was also the name of the new empress. Adrianos was so eager to impress his mother that his first decision was to order the Byzantine fleet to head towards the Gulf of Venice to destroy the Venetian fleet. In April of 1471, a combined Byzantine-Hungarian fleet of 40 ships managed to defeat the inferior Venetian fleet that retreated to Venice. The news of this breakthrough in the naval war forced General Mouzalon to leave a small detachment of 1,000 men in Brescia and muster all of the Byzantine army to head towards Venice for the taking. In May of 1471, Mouzalon attacked the trapped Venetian army of 13,000 men there and killed them one by one. Those were his orders. A Bosnian and a Hungarian army also helped in that battle. The siege of Venice started. An artillery barrage was ordered by the fleet. Meanwhile, the defeat of the Venetian navy in the Gulf of Venice allowed a Hungarian army of 14,000 men to cross the straits and besiege Corfu. Adrianos, in order to introduce himself to the Byzantine nobility, summoned a diet. The most rewarding proposition was that of the burghers. If the Byzantine emperor managed to reduce inflation to 5%, the burghers promised that they would contribute to a booming economy, offering a 15% increase in production efficiency, a yearly increase in prestige of 0.50 and a monthly autonomy decrease by 0.05 for the next 15 years. Finally, the loyalty of the burgher class would increase by 10%. Adrianos could not reject such a good offer. So he decided to spend 300 administrative points to reduce inflation to 4.25%. This completed the promised agenda and also reduced the budget deficit by more than a whole ducat. In the 5th of September, the first episode of a long story of rebellions during the reign of Adrianos started. Bulgarian rebels had risen in Tirnovo. With all of the Byzantine armies in Italy, Adrianos could not do something about that right now. In the 26th of September, the defenders of the fort in Ferrara surrendered to the Austrians. Also, the war enthusiasm of Genoa was already medium. An Austrian army of 19,000 men was besieging their capital. Adrianos, in accordance with the wishes of his mother, would ask Genoa to cede Chios and Mytilene to Byzantium. So, the liberation of the Greek islands after this war would be complete. In the 1st of November of 1471, the unholy city, the city that was behind everything that was evil for the Byzantines, fell. When the news arrived in Constantinople, the people started running in the streets of the city like crazy, spreading the news. When the night came, they were all concentrated around the palace and started singing Orthodox religious hymns and praising the emperor. The Byzantines had to wait exactly 267 years for this to happen. Adrianos wanted to sack Venice, but Theodora said that if he did that, they would not be any different from what they condemned and hated so much in the Venetians. The Byzantine army continued with the siege of Brescia, and the Byzantine navy was ordered to blockade Corfu. In December, the Genoese were ready to accept the Byzantine demands. But alas, Mytilene was occupied by Aragon in another war. Nobody in the Byzantine Council had proposed the simple idea to occupy those islands in order to ask for them in the peace deal. Adrianos was furious. But he managed to find a solution to the problem that would please both his mother as well as the Byzantine people. He asked Genoa, instead of ceding Mytilene, to cede Kaffa and Matrega. two provinces in the Crimean Peninsula that were populated by Pontic Greeks. Byzantium would also now have a foothold there. He then asked Genoa to cancel their alliance with Mantua. In the next war with Genoa for the liberation of Mytilene, Adrianos did not want to have to fight in Italy. Also, Byzantium got 16 ducats as war reparation. Adrianos, in his young impetuous nature, wanted to ask the Venetians to also seek the fort of Split. But this would add to the potential coalition also Crimea, Karaman, Poland, the Mamluks and the Papal State. The latter three would leave the coalition at the end of the year in a few days. So he started improving relations with Karaman. Crimea was already a hostile nation and he could not do anything about it. In February, Albania, Herzegovina and Crimea would be the only three countries that would join a coalition. They needed a fourth member, but there wasn't any. Also, Karaman was at war with the Mamluks. So, in the 20th of February of 1472, Adrianos asked the Venetians to cede all of the Greek islands, Dures, Kotor and Split to Byzantium. He also asked for 126 ducats as war reparations. Byzantium got 59 of them. The next 3 days were announced to be an official public holiday. The festivities included a grand ball in the Byzantine palace. The ambassadors of all the European nations were invited to celebrate the recent victories of the Romans. Venice, of course, did not send its ambassador. Towards the end of the ball, Adrianos walked outside the ballroom to get some air. There, in the balcony, he started thinking about his triumphant first few months of his reign. Ten minutes later, Theodora followed him. "Hello, mother. Did you enjoy the ball? Did you have any interesting conversation?" "I did, but the most interesting one will be the one between the two of us. I wanted to congratulate you for your achievements. I am so happy for you." "Thank you, mother. But I have to tell you something very important to keep in your mind no matter how long you will be emperor." "Yes, mother, of course." "When you make decisions, you should not look for glory. You should be kind and thoughtful. And most importantly, you should not make any decisions for the sole purpose of impressing me or the Byzantine people. The only thing that you must have in your mind is how to serve the people's best interests. Why are you saying this, mother? Well, you were a little impetuous in your decisions, and now the country is seriously overextended. We still haven't managed to integrate in our empire the provinces that we took from the Ottomans. Now, every potential rebel in the country knows that it is the time to rise. You should have been a little more patient. I did not want to intervene because I wanted you to enjoy this triumph. But now we will have a period of destabilization. I hope you are ready for what is coming. We will prevail, but at a great cost in human lives. I am telling you all of that because you always have something to learn, even from your victories. All that Adrianos understood from this conversation was that despite the fact that he crushed the Venetian fleet, he confirmed the Byzantine naval superiority in the eastern Mediterranean, he took Venice, he liberated the Greek islands, and he added Kaffa, Matrega, and Split in the initial demands of the Byzantines, his mother still thought that he was not good enough. Byzantium increased power projection by 32 to an overall level of 70. For the first time, Byzantium had a power projection level of more than 50. This allowed the Byzantines to gain 1 administrative, 1 diplomatic, and 1 military point per month. Adrianos immediately decreased army and navy maintenance. Byzantium was 145% overextended. In order to mitigate the problem, Adrianos decided to give Split to Bosnia. Then he mothballed all the forts. After all of that, Byzantium still had a budget deficit of 5.22 ducats. This was mainly due to the 7.66 ducats that Byzantium paid to fight corruption. Also, Byzantium had monthly interest payments of 2.56 ducats. After repaying a loan, Adrianos ordered the Byzantine armies in Italy to return in the Balkans to fight the rebels. Thankfully, in September, the Bulgarian provinces would be integrated, so Byzantium would not have an overextension problem. And now that Byzantium showed the way and weakened Venice enough, the Italian rivals of Venice, and more specifically Milan, was ready to attack them. The Byzantine endeavors in the Crimean Peninsula led Crimea to announce that Byzantium was officially their rival. In the 20th of June, the Byzantine army attacked the rebels in Sofia and defeated them. But noble rebels were ready to rise in the Aegean islands. Finally, Adrianos sent administrative personnel to integrate the newly conquered provinces from Venice. Also, Serbian rebels were about to rebel. A difficult situation for the young emperor, but he was well prepared for that after the discussion he had with his mother. Byzantium had the resources to prevail. He also thought of provoking the Serbian rebels so that he could deal with them at the time and place that he would choose. Thankfully, after being informed that this would increase the number of the rebels to 18,000 men, he backed down. But now the rebellion in Naxos had started. When the Serbian rebels learned that the Byzantine army was in Athens, they decided to rise. In the 4th of September, most of the Bulgarian provinces were finally integrated. But Byzantium was still overextended because during the rebel occupation in some provinces, integration progress had stopped. It was only then when Adrianos decided to stop the effort to fight corruption. He needed to balance the budget at any cost. In November, the situation was much better. The rebels held only Tirnovo and Kosovo. The Byzantines were heading there to deal with the last rebel army, but Albanian rebels were also ready to rise. In December, the rebels were defeated. In order to save money, Adrianos ordered that the fort in Corfu should be destroyed. Adrianos was already dreaming about the Albanian War. Albania and Rhodes would soon be Roman territories. Adrianos and his mother had converted all the seas from the Gulf of Varna all the way to the Adriatic Sea into Byzantine. The great naval nation that Byzantium was in the past had returned. But in order to continue his wars, Adrianos needed a new army. Grand Company, after the battles with the rebels, had no manpower. So he decided to disband them. The use of mercenaries by the Byzantine emperors for all these years had contributed immensely to the rise of the Roman Empire. But now Byzantium had enough manpower to stop relying on them. This was a radical decision by Adrianos. It symbolized the beginning of a new era, Byzantium was a vast empire that could muster an army only from his subjects. But first, Adrianos decided to have a debt restructure, so he borrowed enough money to repay the old loans to the burghers only to get bigger loans from them. He used the proceeds to repay the expensive loans and managed to reduce the total amount of loans to 7. $136 ducats remained in the treasury for the recruitment of 7 new regiments. In the 6th of February, disturbing news arrived in the Byzantine court. The Ottomans had declared war on Albania. Adrianos had to expedite his plan. But we will talk about that in the next episode.